periodically, we all fall into this thought process mindset of, I just feel so behind in life right now. And trust me, I have felt that way for the past year and a half, 5 years of my life, on and off. There'll be times when I'm doing great, and then all of a sudden, this mindset shift comes back around of, I feel so behind. And some of you might be experiencing that in your relationships. Maybe you feel behind because you're single and all of your friends are married, or maybe your friends are married and you're still dating, waiting to be engaged, or maybe you're married and everyone else is having kids and you're not having kids yet, or, it could be your career. Maybe you see your friends, they're getting promotions, starting new jobs, and you're still at the same job feeling like you don't have a purpose. And maybe it could be your school. I mean, I felt behind in school because I had so many friends who graduated 2, some even 3 years early, and I went the full time, and I was like, "Am I behind?" And it could be your business, it could whatever it is. A lot of us deal with this thought process of, "I just feel behind." And for me right now, it's my friends are married and they're having kids, they're getting promotions in their jobs, they're starting brand new careers that they love. So everything I just said, I'm walking through right now. And currently, I am single. I am in between jobs and I'm figuring things out. And so I've had this thought process just in the past week of really feeling like, oh my gosh, like, am I behind? And funny enough, I was watching Friends sometimes this last week, and it was a night when I was just really dealing with that thought process of, I just feel behind. And I came across this scene where Rachel says, everyone I know is either getting married or getting pregnant or getting promotions, and I'm getting coffee, and it's not even for me. And let's just say I resonated with that so much. And I mean, I related back to even when I was a barista in college, and so I had that thought process too of like, I'm getting coffee and it's not for me. And you might feel that exact same way right now. So trust me, you're not alone. And I mean, it's normal, honestly. Everyone deals with it. And I picked a random episode, and so it's funny. God has a sense of humor. He knew I needed to see that episode that night. But for a moment, I was really letting that thought process get me down. And you might be letting that thought process get you down right now, but I mean, it doesn't have to, because I just took a moment and was like, God, like, am I behind in life? Like, am I not where I'm supposed to be? And then I was in prayer and he just answered me and he said, Kaytlynn, you're right where you're supposed to be. You're not behind. And then he also said, you're also where you're at in your life because of the effort you put in. And so I'm going to explain what those two things that the Lord spoke to me this past week and what it relates to in feeling like you're behind in life today on the show. So today, if you're struggling with this thought process, tune in, lean in, because I'm just going to have a one-on-one conversation with you of just two sides of what it feels like to have that thought process of, I feel behind. I just want to first start off and say, get used to that feeling. Get used to feeling like you're behind, because there is always going to be someone that's doing more than you. And also, we live in a day and age where there's social media everywhere, and you're just looking at everyone's highlight reels and you're comparing their highlight reels to your behind the scenes. And trust me, the feeling of behind is going to reoccur periodically throughout your life. So just kind of get used to it. But let's talk about it. Let's reframe it. What is that side, the one side of this thought? And it's comparison. Sometimes we feel like we're behind in life because we compare. And first of all, social media, it's a great place to start, because you have so many people that post their aesthetic, their pretty backgrounds, their pretty lifestyle, and you compare. You're paying off your debt right now, doing without some extra fun things in your life to be able to live financially free. But you see everyone else on social media going on summer vacations, going on spontaneous trips, going and doing all this kind of stuff, buying the new car, all that stuff is great. But when you compare yourself to that, you're going to feel like you're behind, because you're like, oh my gosh, like, I'm not there. I'm not where they're at right now. So then you minimize like what you're walking through, when you shouldn't do that. And sometimes you're not even looking on social media, but you'll compare your relationships, you'll compare your parenting with your friends. Maybe you're looking at your friends and how they parent their kids, and you're like, oh my gosh, like, they have it figured out. They know what they're doing, and I don't even know what I'm doing. Like, how do I discipline? How do I encourage? How do I don't know, raise children? And so you might be feeling that way right now. And I just want us to shift our mental construct on comparison, because comparison can lead you into feeling like you're behind in life, or it can actually propel you into improving where you're at and even seeing some growth in your life. And how do you do that? Well, comparison, right now you're using comparison to put yourself down. You're saying, oh, I see what they're doing. I see how they're parenting. I see how their relationship is with their parents. I see how their relationship is with their boss, all that kind of stuff. And you're comparing what they're doing to put yourself down and feel bad about the current situation you're in. Let's reframe that. Instead of using comparison to bring yourself down and cause you to be stuck in this I feel left behind mindset, use comparison instead as a way to utilize the tools that they use in their relationships, in whatever it is. I'm just using relationship as an example. It could be their business, it could be whatever else. But for this example, how do they parent? You know what? I'm going to use how they parent, and I'm going to implement that with my children, and I'm going to see what works and what doesn't work. Instead of using comparison as a setback, let's use it as a setup to propel ourselves to improving what we're currently working on. Because comparison, honestly, is a good thing, because we're not meant to stay in the same place that we're at our whole life. We're meant to progress. We're meant to go forward. We're meant to achieve something great. But how do you do that if you don't kind of see what works and what doesn't work? So let's reframe comparison from being a bad thing to actually being something that can propel you into improving the way you operate as a parent. Does that make sense? I think it does, because it shows you, okay, let's instead shift our mindset into saying, I'm going to take what I've seen other people do, and instead of feeling bad, I'm going to take that and implement it in what I'm doing and see what works and what doesn't work. So the first thing you got to think about with this comparison is your story is different than their story. Every person has their own book that they're writing. I'm writing the book of Kaytlynn. You're writing the book of you. And in our different stories, we have different characters. We have different character development. We have different timelines. We have different goals. We have different final chapters of what we're really looking forward to in our lives. We all have different paths that we're walking on, and we all have a story that we're writing. And so I encourage you, write your story. Stop trying to fit yourself in the mold of someone else, because if you're doing that, you're going to feel like, oh my gosh, I'm behind. Like, I'm behind in what I'm doing in life. Like, I was talking to my cousin's wife the other day, and we were just talking about a lot of things in life. And I was just getting some advice from her on some things. And I was like, man, she has it all together. She really does. And that's just how I see her when I look at her and when I talk to her. And so I just started asking her a few questions about this specific area in my life. And as I started asking her question, I realized, oh my gosh, like, I'm actually already doing some of the things that you are telling me that I need to do in order to improve this set area. And so it made me realize, okay, wow, like, everyone has their own story. She is just a few chapters ahead of me, and I'm a few chapters behind, but we're all going in the same place. And she's learning some new things in her life right now, too. So it made me feel like, okay, I don't feel as behind, because I'm actually already doing some of the things that I need to do to get to where I want to go. And you're in the process of writing that story. So I could feel behind by looking at where she's at in life, but she's further along in certain areas than I am, so I shouldn't feel behind, because I'm not even in that chapter yet, and she's already in that chapter. She's already finished that chapter of her life, and I'm just walking into it. But another area that we deal with this mindset that really enables this mindset of feeling behind is when you don't put the effort in. And what do I mean by that? So first, we talked about comparison. That can really cause us, if we don't frame it rightly, to be in this mindset and stuck in, I feel behind. But think about this. Think about two farmers. If you have been a part of this show for the entirety of it, or have seen a few episodes, you know that I'd give some pretty silly illustrations. So that's just how my brain works. It works in pictures. Well, think about two farmers. We have one farmer over here that sows 52 seeds. We have another farmer over here that sows 365 seeds. So these two farmers, they both had the ability to sow 365 seeds. But this guy over here, he said, I'm just going to sow 52 seeds. So they go, they sow the seeds, and then when harvest time comes, the guy with 365 seeds in the ground had a much more bountiful harvest than the one who only sowed 52 seeds. The same it is with people with their effort that sow 52 weeks in the year. They only do once a week. They only do once a week to the effort of building whatever it is that they are working towards. Meanwhile, over here, this person does 365 days. They put in the effort, they put in the work, they sow the seeds of discipline, of getting up early, of going towards the dream that they're believing for, like that they want to see in their life. They're putting the work in for every single day of the year. Meanwhile, this person is only doing 52 out of the 365. They're only doing once a week. This person's doing every day. So obviously, who's going to have a better return on their investment? The one who does it every single day compared to this one who only does it 52 times a year. So whoever is in this 52 times a year, they still have the same capability of doing the 365, but they only do that just because, it's fine, I'll just do it once a week. Sometimes you feel like you're left behind because of the seeds that you're sowing. And so if you're sowing less seeds, then you're going to get a less return on your investment, just like the farmers. So if you are implementing less effort in your life, you're obviously not going to reach where you want to be as soon as the person over here is going to. So put the effort in, put the work in. Some of you have been feeling left behind because you just don't put the work in. And you feel like you're not giving your best every day. And you give your best on only occasions. When you give your best effort and you put the reps in, you're not mad when you see your friends achieve and get kind of like what you are wanting in your life. Because when you give your best effort, you know that you're putting the work in and you've done all you can. And so you know that you're satisfied with the work you did. And you're like, you know what? I'm going to get there. I'm going to get to that goal that I have for myself. I'm going to get to that place in my life that I want to be in due time because I know I've put the reps in. I know I put the work in. But if you don't, then you're automatically going to have that feeling of, I feel behind. I feel like I'm just backtracking in life, but it honestly is probably because you're not putting the work in. And trust me, I have felt that way too, because there have been things in my life that I see other friends doing really well at, and I see the results. And for example, like working out. I see one of my friends who is amazing and just super consistent, and she looks awesome. She physically, I'm like, man, like I want to look like you. But I'm the 52 times a year. I only do once a week and she does every single day. So obviously she's going to look so much better than where I'm at right now, but it's because she put the effort in. So you have to put the effort in. If I just put the effort in and maybe I didn't look as good as she looks, but I did put the effort in, I would be satisfied with the progress I made because I know I put the effort and I know that I'm not behind because I'm right where I'm supposed to be because I did my part. I know that we can all put more effort in. And we can see the results if we do just put that work in. And we're not going to feel behind when we start seeing, oh, I did work that hard. And when we stop making comparison as a bad frame of reference, instead we use it to see how we can utilize what other people's do and put it into our life, then we're going to see that the feeling of left behind, like it's not really, it's honestly not something that we'll probably ever get rid of, but we just have to learn how to reframe it. So this left behind mindset, you're most likely going to have it for the rest of your life, but it's all in how you frame that mindset, frame those efforts that disable the trap of feeling behind. Because if you're trapped in that feeling behind, you're never going to progress into what you want in your life. We all feel it, but there's a fix to it. Don't compare yourself with the intention of bringing yourself down. Compare yourself and seeing what you can learn what they're doing. And your effort. If you feel behind because you could have done more and you didn't, just fix it by putting more reps in. Most of us at one point in our life have felt like and struggled with, I feel so behind. But the simplest fix, the the fix is simple. Man, I couldn't get my words out. I got it all mixed up. But the fix is simple. It's shift your view of comparison and put the work in. You're in the process of writing your story to your life, so make the most of it. Make the most of your story. You're in a process. Enjoy the process. Fall in love with the process. And you'll see in time that this feeling of left behind, you're like, I'm actually right where I'm supposed to be. And I just got to put a little bit more effort if I want to see the results that I desire to see. That's all I have for you guys today. It's just a simple conversation I wanted to have with you because I've been struggling with that thought process of I feel behind. And these two shifts in mindset have really, over the past couple of days, have allowed me to see, okay, I don't have to let this feeling of being left, like this thought of left behind, set me back in any way. So I hope this can help you today and maybe even share it with a friend. If you know someone who has had and maybe had some conversations with you, share this with them. I hope this can help you guys get out of that trap of feeling behind because you are meant to write your story and it's meant to be something great. Thank you so much for joining me today on the Kaytlynn Ward Show. If you are new here, welcome. And if you haven't subscribed, go ahead and hit that subscribe button because we're growing here. We're at 50 subscribers. I'm so excited about it. Thank you so much for all of your support. If something stood out to you today, leave a like, a comment, and, you know, turn on your alerts so you're notified every single time that we have a new episode here. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you again next Friday.